Some stuff about captcha codes and punch card alchemy. Is anyone actually reading any of this? Or are they all dead? I don't know if anyone besides us is even alive and playing the game, or if anybody even really cares what we have to say. Rose said I should add some stuff to this FAQ if anything occurred to me, so I guess I'm doing that. I figure at the very least it will be a good reference for just us to use, but Dave probably won't read any of this because he's sort of this whopping stupid horsebud. Whatever. I finally figured out what those weird codes on the back of captcha log cards are for. Well, maybe not what they're always for, but a way that SBurb has exploited them for in-game purpose. Every captured item stamps the card with a unique code, and a gizmo in SBurb called the Punch Designix will punch a unique pattern of holes in a card which is derived from that code. The punched card can then be used with other gizmos to duplicate the item and or combine it with another item. I got to thinking about this, and with my amazing hacker skills, I noticed a trend. The whole pattern is based on a fairly simple cipher, converting the captcha code to binary, and then the binary pattern is punched, where 1 is a punched hole, and 0 is an unpunched slot. So, here's the table just to be clear. I'm not going to read all this, you can just see it here. There are a couple oddball characters at the end to bring it up to 63. 0 through 63 equals 64 total, i.e. 6 bits. Because the binary representation of the captcha code characters are 6 bits each, which have a range of 0 to 63. So for instance, the captcha code for the hammer is NZ7UN6BI. Look up the index for N first, which is 49. The binary of 49 is 110001. Keep doing that for all the characters, and you get... I'm not reading this, you can see it here. Okay, that's the pattern that will be punched into the card, but the bits are arranged top to bottom, left to right, in 4 columns, like this. Or punched on a card, like this. Wow, okay, that pretty much looks like shit, but you get the idea. So to combine the two items, you just overlap 2 punched cards, only the places where both cards have a hole will show through, so it's sort of like a bitwise AND operation on both cards. The new pattern gives you the code for the new item. For instance, combining the code for a hammer, NZ7UN6BI, and a pogo ride, DQMMJLEK, gives you a new code with less holes, obviously, which translates to 126GH48G. That hole pattern went on to make the pogo hammer, which is so rad you have no idea. I've always wondered if you can combine items in other ways, like a bitwise OR. That means combining the cards to get more holes, not less, i.e. the new pattern has a hole for every other hole on either card. This pattern would be accomplished by double punching a card, like 2 codes, 1 card. I've got to try that sometime. But there are some mysterious things about all this. First of all, with all the hole slots, there are 48 bits in total, which means there are almost 300 trillion possible codes. And 300 trillion sounds huge. But when you consider it's supposed to account for all conceivable items, including all the wacky combinations of stuff, it suddenly doesn't seem that big. Which leads me to believe that not every combination of items has a viable duplicate. But this is kinda obvious anyway, since there are many combinations of punch cards that will produce either a blank card, with AND, or a totally punched card, with OR. So there are a lot of dud combinations out there, and many that will just lead to the same pattern. Like for instance, a gun and an atom bomb could make some sort of ultimate death ray, but for that matter, a shoehorn and a potted plant could lead to the exact same pattern. So weird. Also, it seems like combined items will always have patterns with either much fewer holes or much more holes than more ordinary items, which will occupy the vast meaty middle of all possible patterns. It is strange and counterintuitive that more complex objects have simpler patterns, but hey, there you have it. But all this sort of makes me guess the system can be cracked in some way. Like if you have a complicated item and you want to extract simpler item components from it, there might be some algorithm for deriving the pattern you want, or at least narrowing down the possibilities. There might also be ways of charting through the simpler patterns on both ends of the bit spectrum, and pinning down the ones that will make cooler stuff. Who knows? I want to ask Jade about this because she's really good at this sort of thing somehow, even though she doesn't have my elite hacksaw cred. Too bad she makes herself so scarce all the time. Jade, if you ever read this, let me know what you think. This is a little visual representation for what John is talking about here. As you can see, putting in numbers adds punches to the card on the left and changes the CAPTCHA code on the right.